This is the story of the Christmas pool sessions, really, and how we scored a amazing pool. It's called the Christmas Crane. Anyway, so I started skating with the homie Johnny and met his friend Jesse. Sorry, I almost forgot his name because there's been a lot of people we've been meeting. Jesse, and we first met at the this Whittier pool we found. We knew the house was abandoned, so we show up and there's like, or he showed up first, Johnny, because he has the one with the pump right now, and he starts pumping it out. It's so much green water, green Christmas. I don't know. It all feels like a Christmas story to me. So he spends 2 days pumping it out. The first day he gets halfway. I didn't get to show up to that, and he gets halfway and he stops the first day. Second day I show up in the morning. He's going at it again. Pool's kind of skinny. I saw that from Google Maps. Pool's kind of skinny. Usually that means it's kind of steep and it's not really skatable. It's really hard. I guess any pool's skatable. Any pool you can get a trick on, and we did. So he pumps it the second day. We're pumping it, and we're not sure if we're even able to skate it because it's got a lot of slime in it. It's got a lot of green algae kind of stuff, and that's kind of dangerous too because it takes a long time to dry. Typically, we got lucky actually. The reason why we got lucky is because the slime and everything dried up pretty quick. And we had found all these blankets at the house, and we were just putting in the work, drying it, rubbing it with all these sheets and mats we were finding. We got able to skate it. We got our clips.
That was it. Oh my god.
Kind of had to cut that day short. We were gonna go look for some other pools, but Johnny was busy, so I ended up sticking with Jesse, who said he had a pool not far up the street, actually near his house. So he was showing me pictures of it. I was like, "Oh, it looks cool." And on line, it was we weren't sure the status of this house, if someone was living there, if it was abandoned, if it was in between. I show up, no one. It looks like no one's there. We go straight to the pool. We go over the fence, and we're
Is what?
just like, wow, this pool is mellow. This pool has the seat, it has this big seat, it has the cake, and it has a mellow deep end. It it's so good. It's like a good pool to learn stuff on because the deep is mellow because it's got this little seat thing. We end up calling it the cupcake. Brennan Perlson, a guy who skates on a lot of Gone Cemental videos on YouTube, and they do a lot of pool videos. That's mainly their thing, but he's the one that called it the cupcake, this little seat in this pool. And we all laughed, and it fitted just right because it's not a cake, it's a little cupcake. And we could just go over this and that, but it was full of water. So we knew we were gonna need Johnny's assistance to help him to pump it out. And took a bunch of videos. We were showing Johnny, and he was hyped on it, and I was telling him like, dude, this could be our Christmas pool. This because right now obviously it's us barging. The neighbors might hear us, but on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, people are usually occupied and seem less likely to call the cops or get involved. And if anything, you can always say, come on, it's Christmas, we just want to skate a pool. My classic way is you can always find a good reason. Anyway, I wanted to wait till like that time closer to Christmas to empty it and to skate it, but Johnny and Jesse wanted to jump on it, so they started doing like the next day, or they were pumping it the next day, and I was hyped. I was like, well, at least we're gonna find out what's gonna happen. First day, I guess it didn't go through. He pumped it for an hour, and then the pump stopped. The second day, I show up, and before I even show up, Johnny got started before I showed up, started pumping it, and his pump, I guess, went crazy. His pump like sputtered out, and then a bunch of smoke popped out, and he said he just like got scared that the show was gonna even blow up, and he just ran out of the yard and left everything there. You know, it's like a $300 pump or more with all these hoses that are really high, like really expensive. It's probably like $500-600 worth of material right there. So he said he ran out. I meet up with him right after, and I'm like, let's go get your pump. Let's go back to the scene. He was like, there's people walking around though in this neighborhood. It's kind of like a high-end neighborhood. It's in the heights of this area, and it's where a lot of these big houses are. And since I've been there a couple times, or since I've been there once before, and I kind of know that area, I know it is like that. So we go back, we get in the back, and I'm like, okay, let's just figure out what's wrong with the pump. He sees it, he's opening it up, and he thinks there's too much oil, because as soon as he opened, all the oil started spilling out, all this other stuff. Boom, got it started. Things started pumping away. We start angling the hose, putting it at a good angle so it goes into the dirt. Always got to make sure that hose is going somewhere where the water's not going to go into someone else's yard or make too much trouble, and or possibly even make its way back into the pool. So you're always going to have a good place to point the pump where all that water. I mean, this one was like quarter of amount of water, so that was probably like a couple 2,000 gallons of water in there. Anyway, we pump it out. It took us like maybe hour and a half ish, and we're telling everyone that we're going to be able to skate it that day. So, but in between, we dodged two bullets. While we're pumping it, when we got in like 20 minutes, a truck pulls up to the front, and you could kind of see from where we're at through the side fence that someone pulled up. It was like a white truck. I was like, oh fuck, someone's here. Someone heard. I don't know. Someone's checking on the house. And at this point, all the water's going down the street, so you can definitely see that there's water coming from that house. So all that water is going down. Someone pulls up, and then we're just like, fuck. They know. The truck goes, and then it leaves, and then it comes back like a minute later and comes up in the driveway again. And then I'm like, what's going on? Why are they circling around? Are they looking for something? So I look over the fence, and I see it's a city truck, and it's got lights on it, and I'm like, oh, it's a city worker. I'm like, wonder if they're worried about the water and if it's like a leak or something. So I jump the fence, and when I come out, this lady that was in that truck is looking at the water trail. This lady was looking at the water trail, trying to follow it back, because at this point the water trail was like a little river going down the street, and we're on a hill, so it really makes its way. And this lady was following it. She was trying to trail it back to where it's coming from. Go to her. I have a vest on, because I always make sure we wear vests. It makes it look less questionable when you start walking into to areas and houses. And I go up to her, hey, I just want to let you know we're pumping a pool. She's like, oh yeah, I kind of figured. I could smell the chlorine in the water, because this water had a little bit of chlorine in it. And I said, yeah, I don't know if you could hear the pump, and you could hear it from there. And she's like, oh yeah. She's like, no worries, just making sure. Someone called it in. And she said she could hear the pump, and she says, clear. Oh, just want to make sure the address. What's the address that this pool's coming from? I was like, I didn't have it off the top of my head, but I looked at my phone like if I was like, oh yeah, I'm sorry, we got the address earlier. I'm at work. Looked it up. I was like, oh yeah, it's I give her the address. I said, okay, cool, that's fine. She got in her truck, pulled off. I was like, whew. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Went back into the pool where Johnny was pumping it. I was like, man, this is what happened. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. We ended up having the conclusion like, well, if someone called in about the water right now, we might and we made an excuse, and we made this city worker believe it for now. We should just keep going. But it also could mean that it's going to get back. Maybe they call the owner of the property. Maybe they're checking in with that. Now that they know the exact address. The fact that it's getting called in, who knows if it's going to get wind to whoever owns the house. So, yeah, we were worried about that, and we just keep pumping away. Kept pumping it, and we're pretty much almost done at like 20 minutes later. 20 minutes after it got rid of the city worker, we're pumping it 20 minutes in further from there, and I'm still back there pumping it out, and I just happened to catch the neighbor's head over the fence, and she's kind of peeking over, hearing probably the pump, hearing us back there, and she looks at me, and we make eye contact. She's like, oh, what's going on? And I have my vest on, so I know that, and I know what neighbors don't like, and I say my excuse. I say, "Oh, hey, pumping out the pool is like a lot of mosquitoes here. Owner of the property wants us to pump it out. And she was like, oh my God, we feel them. There's so many mosquitoes. Thank you. I was like, yeah, no problem. And then she asked me, even though I said that the owners of the house, she said, are you going to be living here? I was like, oh no, I'm not. I'm just doing this to get paid. And she thanked us again. And then I hear her talk to her husband, who I couldn't see, but he was like, I guess behind the fence. She was like, yeah, they're pumping out the water because of mosquitoes. And I guess he was like, oh hell yeah. He was like really excited from that. And it's funny because we skated this that right like maybe an hour later after that, and the next day, and the next day. So I wonder what they thought. I mean, we pumped it out and then we're skating it. I mean, do they still believe that's our excuse was our excuse, or were they just happy that the mosquitoes are gone and didn't care about the skating? Yeah, so I got rid of the neighbor, and fast forward to us done pumping, we're drying it, but you know, with pools, all concrete's different. Some concrete's poured better, some concrete's poured worse, so the quality of the concrete can be a little bit more messed up, could be a little bit more sandy, and that affects the drying process and the drying time. So for this one specifically, the first day it was never really dry on the deep end, and because of that, it's dangerous because you could slip out. So that's a very major point I want to remind myself and others, is that make sure it's dry. How you do that is you feel it. If it feels cold, that's even a big thing. Another one is you stand on your board in the deep end and you move your wheels around like doing power slide stationary. And if it slides, it's not worth it because you can get some speed and you could just slip and just, I mean, the walls are right there. You could just bang your head and just go straight to the floor. You could slam really bad. Be careful. That happened a lot that day. Not too bad, but it's dangerous. But we pumped it, dried it, and we had friends come over and we skated it. So that was the first day. It was amazing. Second time we went there, we waited a whole day because we were all busy, and then the sun did its magic, really drying it up. Second time we went back, we skated on Christmas Eve. Everyone was occupied. No one said anything. We took more friends there and we skated it. We had a great session, and I went over the cupcake. Ended up being a lot harder than it looks. You're gonna see that right now.
Take your time, my man. Take a breather. Right through it. Yeah.
It was hard for me to get over. It's hard for even a couple other of my friends. So it was definitely a challenge. But I feel like we're learning to skate obstacles like that, and that cupcake was the perfect warm up to learning how to actually skate or get over a real cake. So I'm glad I did it. Christmas, because I went Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. Took advantage of the fact that, like I said, everyone's occupied. And it was great. I feel like I did learn. I also slashed in the deep end for the first time. So that's the Christmas story.